Welcome to Symplicity Conversations, the podcast where business, culture, and community come together to inspire and empower. I'm your host, Catherine Ripley. Each week, we'll explore meaningful conversations about how today's business landscape is shaped by innovation, relationships, and the people behind the progress. From actionable insights and stories from industry leaders to topics like customer experience, fostering strong business relationships, and the role of automation, we've got you covered. Whether you're an entrepreneur navigating growth, a leader focused on building lasting connections, or someone interested in how culture and community drive success, Symplicity Conversations is here to guide you. If you're ready to turn challenges into opportunities and make meaningful strides in your business and community, subscribe now and join the conversation. Get ready to simplify complexity and make an impact with Symplicity Conversations. Welcome to Symplicity Conversations, where we delve into the stories and strategies driving success in business and technology. Today, we're joined by Jessica Reilly, Symplicity's operations manager. Together, we'll explore her journey, gain insights into the critical role of operations, and discuss invaluable services Symplicity provides in this space. Get ready to hear about how operations drive innovation and how Jessica's path has shaped her contributions to Symplicity's success. But first, we're going to start with our Symplicity Insights. This is our famous quote for the day. Leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. And this was said by Sheryl Sandberg. I really love this because, especially talking about Jessica and her journey, she's very focused on the people in her charge. And so I love that this was our Symplicity Insights of the day. So subscribe to Symplicity Conversations for more conversations with the innovators driving meaningful change. All right. So Jess, welcome to the podcast.
Hi.
How exciting. I know you've watched the podcast and your grandma's watched the podcast.
Yeah.
But you know, it's you've had quite a journey getting to Symplicity. Yeah. And I remember I was interviewing you when I just pulled up into my driveway and you were calling from Florida. You were living in Florida at the time. And I'm thinking, what? Why does she want to get into technology? And, you know, it's always so hard. I feel so unqualified of hiring people because you just never know, you know, what's going to happen. And when we talked about your background and you were coming back to Michigan, moving back to Michigan, and I thought, okay, I just really loved our energy and our connection. So tell me a little bit about your background and how you kind of came to your role at SeaWorld and then what kind of connected you with Symplicity.
Yeah. So I'm a professional stage manager. I've been doing it for like 16 years. I still consider myself a professional stage manager because you empower me to continue to do that in the evenings. And so I like to get involved in the community. But I think that kind of the story with it, I loved my time when I was there, but something kind of needed to change. You know, I like to, when I think back to that critical moment, I think to what everybody thinks about when life changed with the pandemic. Entertainment was hit really hard, and that's not the reason why. I didn't lose my job. I was back to work in June 2020. So I was leading a theme park through the pandemic. And so that was so hard. And then I think about the 3 months that I was not working and how I spent that time. And so when I was working through all these hard things and leading these teams through something very scary and something where you're constantly having to adjust how you operate, I was like, wait, is this it? Is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? And it really made me think about what I wanted for myself for probably like the first time. What did I want outside of work?
Right.
Did I just want to live for my work? Kind of like I don't know if I could break my nature from that, but I wanted more. So I did what a lot of people did during the pandemic, and I started looking. There was a lot of conversations with stage managers about like how the transferable skills are there. And so I started making my muggle resume, as I like to call it, and looking at what those skills were. What was I doing? I was project managing for entertainment. I was coordinating schedules and staff and building project reports and building documentation from the ground up. And suddenly it became like really easy. And I knew I wanted to move back up to Michigan. My family's on the east side. My best friend lives in Grand Rapids. So and several of my other friends live in Grand Rapids. I was like, I think this is the place. And I started putting things out. And I think maybe Symplicity was my third or fourth interview. And I remember being so entranced when I was having my interview with you about like the company culture and how you were feeling. And I was like, wow, I think this might be it. Like, I'm going to give it a try. I'm sure you were thinking the same thing. Like, this is a risk, but I'm going to give it a try.
That's right.
I liked all the conversations we were having. And I remember talking with you. We were on the phone for such a long time. And I was like, I've never met this lady before, but I want to work with her. And I want to be a part of this. And so you hired me as a project coordinator. And I remember like sitting there and being like, okay, cool. I was just kind of like on my own and like figuring it out and learning the business and missing leading teams. And then moved into, senior customer success manager after that. Who knows? Whatever we changed the title to. And the leadership opened up. And I was like, wow, like, I don't think that I ever stopped leading. I think that's just something that's naturally in me. But to be given a position where I could make an impact and help like nurture and cultivate the rest of the team members, that was yes, this is what you're supposed to do.
Right.
Like you already care about all these people and you hear about like what they want and what frustrates them and like what their dreams are. Like now you can be in a position to help them get there.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. You know, there's so many, and I'm sure with listeners, what do they do? How do they make that decision? And sometimes it's just hard to start thinking. So what I just heard you say was you just realized that, you know, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? And, you know, you had this draw to come back to Michigan. And so thankfully you found us. I think those are some of those happy accidents that happen. You just never know.
It was kismet.
Yeah, totally. So when we think about your time at SeaWorld, we've had some great conversations. I mean, you worked with animals, so you had some really cool stories. But what's your most memorable or surprising moment?
Oh, boy. There's so many of them. Well, the thing, I venue managed at the Sea Lion and Otter Stadium. I helped install shows for the Dolphin Show and the Sea Lion Show. I managed fireworks. I managed an outdoor ice skating rink, Sesame Street Parade, like all of these different things. So like when you spread it all out and then you think about how hundreds and thousands of people have experienced what you have helped put out there.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of crazy. So how do you then pinpoint one moment that was just there? I don't know. When I think about a moment that I want to like kind of like talk about or like say that here are the cool things that I did and here's some of the happy accidents that happened. It was actually not with the animal shows. I was stage managing the ice skating show that we did, Winter Wonderland on Ice. And I was getting ready to call the show. You're getting ready to start. And I look up, I'm like getting ready, about to call out for pre-show, and I look up, and there's a toddler on the ice skating rink. And this is a real ice rink outside in Florida. And I'm like, there's a baby. There's a baby on the rink. There's a baby on the rink. And then immediately went into action and ran down the spiral staircase from the booth down to the tunnel. And continued running. Mind you, I'm wearing brand new heeled boots.
Oh, no.
Run out onto the ice, no cleats, pick up this baby like a little football, and like, where does it go? And I look over, and its mom is crying and screaming on the edge because she's worried he's going to slip and fall and hurt himself. And I just pick this baby up, and I run over, and I hand it off to the mom, and crowd goes wild. And I was like, wow, I feel like a hero.
I was going to say, just the hero.
And I'm like, man, I wish somebody would have recorded that. There's so many moments of our life that we wish nobody recorded.
Oh, for sure.
But then that was pretty cool because people were like telling me they saw it like throughout the park. And I was like, yeah, it was really cool. I don't know. It was a blessing. I didn't fall with the baby. I didn't fall on myself. I don't know how I did that. It was just adrenaline of like trying to take care. And that's not even the show business, but that's like what you have to, like, it's the care for other people, I guess, that like really drove that.
You know, it's so funny, Jess, we still have those moments where you see something and you just have to act. And, you know, sometimes we do feel like superheroes where we're wearing these capes, you know, and it's crazy. Did you have a particular favorite animal co-star that you think back to? I remember seeing a picture where you got a kiss from one of the sea lions, but do you have a favorite one?
So I love sea lions, but my favorite marine mammal at SeaWorld is Slowpoke. She is a walrus, and she is the oldest walrus in the world.
Oh my gosh.
I believe. She has been at SeaWorld for a long time. She was rescued. She participates in the sea lion show. Just usually at the end, she comes out, she gets the audience wet, she claps, she rolls over. She is so sweet. And just seeing like her relationship with her trainers and everything, and then just knowing, like being around them every day. So like I got to see like sea lions and otters and walruses and dolphins and all these things every day. It just fills your life with such wonder.
Yeah.
That these beautiful animals are a part of this earth. It really like takes you out. I think when you like in Grand Rapids, like you see squirrels, you see dogs, you don't see the wonder of the world.
Right.
And she's just so beautiful. I just love her so much.
You know, and I think that, you know, I've watched you for, gosh, almost 3 years.
Yeah, it's coming up soon.
Yeah. So I think that when you think about some of those special moments in that role, I love that you're continuing to find ways to still be in that stage management. And, you know, I know you volunteer and you work with the different theaters and trying to keep yourself into that because you need to fill that. And I think that's an important lesson is when you make a job shift and you're in a different industry, but when you have this long-standing, you know, performance event management background, you still have to scratch that itch. You still have to do some of that. So there's ways to volunteer because I think some people can't see that and they don't, you know, want to change jobs because maybe they need a better income or maybe they need a different location, but you still have to do some of those things that are really core and meaningful for you. Right. So I've seen you kind of use some of those skills that are transferable into your day job now that is technology. So they're not as cute and fuzzy and as the sea lions and the walruses, but, you know, technology and phones. And you have this way about yourself with clients and I see you form some amazing relationships with some of the clients. So talk a little bit about that.
It's all relationships. And I think that's one of the bigger transferable skills is it's building relationships because you work with these people. You want to be in the trenches with them. So you got to know them. I had that same mentality as SeaWorld. I got to know so many people, not even just like the technicians were my people, the performers were my people, the animal trainers were my people, the plumbers. Like, you know, I got to know people outside of my scope and I take that same curiosity when we go into this and working with our clients. Like these people might come from a different world that I'm not familiar, but I want to be curious and I want to get to know them. And I want to, the biggest thing that I like to say about when we're doing implementations is we are in the trenches. So not only is our job to make the time in the trenches better and smoother and everything like that, but we're there. We're still people experiencing this change management together. So naturally, when I tell little jokey jokes, and I just think that's one of the things that, not that I'm a jokester or anything like that, but it's important.
Maybe.
I think just connecting with people like that helps build bonds, and laughing together builds bonds. And so it's easy to make the relationships with the clients. It's easy to make the relationships with our team. I mean, it's similar to the technicians that I've worked with in the past, working with our technicians, network engineers, all these different people. We're all human. Right. And that's the easy part to remember and connect to. It's all, I just care about people. And it's easy to do.
I think that's important to remember is you looked at what skills you did have to be successful in your previous role. And you've used a lot of those skills here in your current role. Maybe talk a little bit about what do you think helps your success as you've evolved your position here at Symplicity? What do you think has been key for that?
Being able to adjust to anything with a positive mentality. I work a lot with reframes when I get frustrated. So if you get frustrated because something is very challenging, you look at that as an opportunity. Well, how do we make this less challenging? How do we ask more questions on the front end? How do we build a process kind of around that? So just taking that. And then also I am a recovering control freak.
Feel that. Yes.
And one of the things that I have learned as I navigate through that, this was definitely something that I improved upon during my time there, was figuring out if you can't control people. And that's so hard to just come to terms with, especially when you think it. But what you can't do is you can lead people better. I'm always a lead from the front. I want to, again, be in the trenches. I want to know how, but I also have this thirst for understanding and knowledge, and I want to be able to do it. So a lot of the times when we've hit challenges, I want to learn how, because if I know how, if there's something that I don't know how to do, but I'm frustrated with how somebody else is doing it, I'm not going to be able to know what their experience is unless I know how to do it.
Right.
And so taking the time to learn enough to be dangerous is kind of what I think in all these different roles has helped me, because it gives me scope, and it lets me see what our team is struggling with, and gives me ideas on how to help navigate that. So I think that part is huge. I really want to consistently be problem solving. I don't think we're ever going to be a place where we settle and we are we've got this perfect. There's always going to be room for improvement. There's always going to be new technologies that we can leverage to help us do our jobs. Right. And I think that with the way that things are going and the way that AI is developing, there's still going to be more room. We just have to know about it. We have to know about these technologies and say wow, this could really help. And I think we're doing that not only for our customers, but we're doing that for ourselves too.
Yeah, I think it's so important. AI, and when you use the word automation or AI, people are oh my gosh, they know they need it. They don't know how to get there.
Right. Or how it can help them.
Yeah, or how it can help them. They just think of the negative side of it. But, in a very simplistic way, I look at it any manual, redundant tasks should be automated. We shouldn't be doing those. Save the complex tasks for the humans, right?
Right.
And that's, if you simply look at, if you could take 20, 30% of your tasks in a day and automate those, how much time would that give back? And it's all about time. Yeah. So you used a word earlier in this discussion, empower. And I know one of our mission statements at Symplicity is to empower each other to be our best selves, both our employees and our clients. We want to bring out the best.
Yeah.
So how do you see empowerment, and how do you help the people that you work with really be empowered to show up as their best selves?
Well, I think it's being a cheerleader for everybody. I think it's helping, and it's giving people permission to make mistakes and giving people permission to think outside the box and to trouble. You're cheering people on and you're saying, you could do this, you could think about this, what are your ideas? How can we make it better? And in accepting those ideas and like maybe we give it a try and it doesn't work. It's really this culture of like failing forward. If we try this and it doesn't work, then we're going to try something different, but let's try it. And I take that with our team as well and say like, it's okay if we try this and it doesn't work. Like it's okay. And then the same thing with our clients. Like, we're going to do this. We're going to get this to like, it's really that positive mentality. And as it's struggling, like, okay, here's how we're going to do it better. Sometimes people need a cheerleader. Sometimes people need someone to help them through the challenges. You know, one of the big things that happens in like in some human nature is like you freeze. The first time that you hit a roadblock, it's that creative problem solving. That's one of the things that like I love to do. And I think setting the tone for how you approach it is so powerful. Like, we will figure this out. Let's talk about it. Let's throw out some ideas. Let's be a sounding board. Let's do whatever. But like, it's lifting people up as opposed to letting people get bogged down in the negative what ifs.
Right.
Like, no, we will find the solution.
There is a solution.
There is a solution.
Yep.
Everything is figure outable.
Yes. I think we have a sign in our office of that.
and keeping that for everybody.
Right. Definitely. You know, I think I approach things at what are my options? They're good, bad, or ugly. There's options. You may not like them, but when you're facing a situation, especially with technology implementation, there's just, you can plan and you can have conversations and then it still doesn't go the way you expect.
Never.
And you never know. It could be an act of God that you know, some kind of weather that delays you, a car breaking down for a technician going to, you know, implement something. So you have to kind of be willing to say, what are my options in this case? And I think that because you had that stage management background where you didn't know what the animals were going to do. They were trained and they likely did it, but I'm sure you have some funny stories of, well, the dolphin wasn't where it was supposed to be.
Well, yeah, they like really, it's always an invitation. When you're working with animals, they'll decide what they want to do.
Technology too. They're kind of we're animals.
That's but it's kind of the same thing, and you don't really have. Again, control over any of it. There were times where we had a sea lion during a show slide into the pool and take a nap for a half an hour. And I guess we're not doing the show anymore. And just having those experiences, like sometimes it's like, okay, this didn't go to plan. You know, there were things that happened in a project like this week where we were like, in the last week, oh, this didn't go according to plan. We need to adjust, but we're going to do it.
Yeah.
There's still a path forward.
Right.
There's always a path forward. Sometimes you just have to ask the right amount.
You got to communicate. You've got to, when it doesn't go to plan, you've got to communicate with the customer. And sometimes the customer doesn't give us the right information or they don't have the information. Yeah. And we just have to go on a wing and a prayer and say, oh, we'll figure it out when we get there. Right. And so I think it's important, you know, as people think about their career, and you made a huge adjustment in industries and you moved states and you had a different job. I mean, you had so many things up against you of change, and that can freak people out. But I think my advice to people is do it. What's the risk you would regret in the future if you look back and go, I should have tried? You
could always go back. That was my whole thing. When I moved here, I was like, I could always go back. I left on great. I was very good at my job. I left on great terms. I was really well loved.
They beg you to come back sometimes.
They do.
But thankfully, we've got a great home.
Yes, and I love it here, and I love that I made this decision to be here, and I like everything about my job. I love our team.
Yeah.
I love our team. I love our customers.
In our new home.
In our new home. In the office is so nice.
I know. It's beautiful. It's pinch me. Like I walk in and I walk right by your office every morning when I walk in and I'm like, I just love, I don't know. It's just, I'm still speechless, I think, of how it's coming together. Yeah. And that we're in this beautiful, iconic building, 40-foot ceilings, ornate, ceilings and these huge columns. And it's like, wow, we get to be here. We get to live here.
We get to work here.
Yeah, definitely. And if if people aren't in that place where they don't have that, oh my gosh, I get to work here, I get to come to work every day. And it's not easy. It's not always easy. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's like, projects don't work well or things are frustrating. But on the whole, we have most people that are like, we get to work here. We get to be here.
It's so important to feel that way about where you choose to think about how much time you spend at work. It was another reason why I decided to do a career shift is like where I was and what I was doing, I was starting to lose that I get to work here feeling.
Yeah.
And I think that as a leader, you have to still have that like in you because you are setting the tone. You are like, you have to be excited about what you're doing.
Right.
And when I started to lose that, while I was there, I was like, I need to leave on good terms. I don't want people to see a lesser version of myself because I've become jaded or the illusion. Just because I was tired.
Yeah.
I was just tired.
Yeah.
And there hasn't been a time since I've been on this journey where I haven't been happy to be where I am at Symplicity.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I know that the team loves having you on the team. I mean, we laugh more because of you, and just when somebody's maybe not having the best day and you come in and you're laughing and all of a sudden they're laughing and you just make things better. So is there any advice you would have for someone listening that is thinking, maybe I'm not happy in my job, maybe I need to make a career shift? Do you have any advice that in your experience you could share?
I think if people get to that point, they need to look at what makes them happy. Mm-hmm. Like, what does make you happy? What is it that you're missing that you wish was there? And write those down and kind of think about it and reflect on it. For me, I was like, the thing that brings me joy is helping people and leading teams. Mm-hmm. That's when it comes down to it, bare bones. I was like, this is the bare minimum of what's happening. And I want there's all these ifs, ands, or buts in there. Mm-hmm. But when you think about like the why in there. And so when you do this exercise of writing down, these are the things that make you happy, start thinking about what are the jobs that align with that. Mm-hmm. And you'd be surprised.
Right.
Sometimes it's not the job, it's the environment.
Right.
So like, don't let that limit you. And you have to think about taking these risks. And that's so scary.
Yeah. But just do it.
Because the other risk is living through your life unhappy. You spend 40 hours, maybe more a week.
You only work 40 hours, Jess? No.
It's way less than what I used to work at my other job. But like, you spend so much time doing work because we live in a world where you need to. And why not choose to do that with something that makes you happy? And people will say money, blah, blah, blah. Well, you can pivot your lifestyle or you can't. Like maybe that is a parameter that makes you happy. Money, it's not something that drives me. It's nice and it gives you options, right? But it's not necessary. Some level of necessity, but I digress. I take the risk. The other part of it and the thing that I had to talk myself into is I'm worth the risk.
Yes, you're worth it.
Like, and that was the big thing. Like, that was the big driver is like, I'm unhappy. I'm sad. My work-life balance isn't great. Like, I'm under so much stress all the time. What do I need to do? I miss my family. I want to be in Michigan. This is terrifying because there's not really a lot of entertainment full-time in Michigan. Right. So you could be really limited and you could go to theater and you could continue to work 100 hours a week or something, or you can find a different job that you can find the base level of happiness that these are the things that make you happy. You could still do theater. You can do that in all that free time that you have and all that energy you have because you get more energy if you're working and doing something that you love with people you love and doing a job that brings you energy.
Definitely.
So just make that leap.
Yeah, definitely. I
agree.
agree.
Deserve it.
I agree. Yeah. And I think that's really important for people to realize that they are worth it. They deserve it and they are enough. So Jess, we need like 30 more minutes for this
I know.
podcast with you, but
we can do another one.
That's right. That's right. Thank you so much for joining me today and kind of opening up and helping maybe a listener that you can inspire to make that change and make them happier in their work life. So thank you for joining us on Symplicity Conversations. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and visit thesimplepodcast.com to connect with the innovative team at Symplicity. See you next time.